When we were talking to you, and you were showing us, some opportunities for us, and we were looking at them, a lot of them were new builds, right, or new condos, right?
Yes.
So they were going to close in a year or 2 years or 3 years, right? And we're like, okay, that sounds cool. We can make some money, da-da. And so a year later, we said, okay, we don't want a new one. We want something that's going to cash flow now.
I remember the phone call. Yes. Like it was yesterday.
We want something that's going to cash flow now.
Yes.
Enough of this, in a year or two from
Exactly.
now, right?
Yes.
We want to get something for this education and money for bang for a buck now. So you presented something to us that was cash flowing now.
Yes.
But to Kathy's point, it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
It was a lot of money. So we thought, we know a really good friend that knows lots about real estate too.
Who's done this before?
Let's ask her if she wants to go in as a partnership, because everything's about partnership, right?
Right.
And being open and honest, and so we asked Kathy, and Kathy, what did you say?
Yeah. Oh, well, I was at first. I gave it some thought, and I thought, wouldn't hurt. We looked at the numbers.
Right.
Absolutely, the numbers have to make sense, obviously. And basically, we just went in as a joint venture together, and.
So I remember. I'm sure there was a time where we were on a call together when we were just putting that investment deal together. Can you take us to kind of behind the scenes a little bit, like when you three were talking about it? What questions did you have, Kathy, for Grace and Lisa? This is the first time you're doing it with them, from what I understand, right?
Yeah,
We've never done this together before. So at that time, was it easier because you had a little bit of trust with Grace and knowing Lisa before?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Oh,
okay.
yeah. No,
Obviously.
absolutely. Yeah, because I knew them already, right?
Yeah.
It's not like I'm jumping in with a total stranger and
Right.
sort of, the trust has already been built
Sure.
there. And that made it a lot easier.
Okay.
I
But we're
was
still
a
talking
little-
about money, right? We're still talking about a lot of money that you're going to invest.
Oh, absolutely,
So,
right?
Yes.
So I was a little skeptical just about going in with someone else, because I've always bought on my own, and I
Right.
thought, well, what if I change my mind about something, and what if I want out in a couple of years and they still want in? So that's where the contract comes in, and we talked about it. We were very open and honest about what we wanted in that contract and what had to work for all of us.
Let's talk a little bit about that if you're okay with it. And if you're not, we'll talk about it, and then, like I said, we'll edit it out. But I think we're fine with it. What did we put into place? Now I really remember, because it's actually be funny. That call that I took I remember I was driving right around the same Tim Hortons we met that us four got on a call when you were talking about doing a joint venture contract.
That's correct.
What was important to put into place, Lisa?
So
Because there's three people, it's not two. Three.
And because of the friendship, we didn't want to jeopardize the friendship because
Key.
of
Absolutely.
business transaction.
Yeah.
So it was really important that we hammer out all the details.
Okay.
And so the details right down to Kathy's question. So what if I want to pull out and you guys don't?
Yes.
Right? So again, there's a lot of material out there. Grace, again, because she had the time and the willingness, she pulled together drafts. And so we went through a number of those drafts, and we finessed and refined clauses, and they were really just clause by clause to say, okay, so one of us wants to pull out. God forbid, one of us passes away. I mean, it's all the scenarios that we worked through to come up with something that we could all three agree to.
I see. So
Totally
many.
transparent.
It was. It
Right.
was, yeah.
Where did you find all these little samples and all that kind of stuff? Grace?
through the web and some tools that were provided to us, we just pulled everything together. And once we had a complete draft, and to Lisa's point, I mean, we threw this back and forth a number of times, too many times, but we wanted to make sure that we were all really comfortable to the point of how much money do we want to keep in the bank, right?
Yes, down to those details.
What the scope of
Reserve
this is
fund.
and everything.
Reserve funds,
right?
So you said, hang on, I didn't mean to cut you off, Chris, but you said you went back a few times, and then you mentioned that maybe too many times. Try to remember, like, are we talking this took 6 months or this took 6 days? Like,
Okay, so you know what? when it was the three of us, it didn't take 6 months. But
Yes.
when it was Lisa and I,
Our first time,
it
yes.
was definitely 6
Yes,
months.
it was.
So Lisa and I had
Yeah.
a base we created a base.
Yes.
Okay.
It was just
Because
adding
when
one
it's
more
just-
person and
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
it was
when
the first
Lisa and
time.
I were creating it just for ourselves, it probably took us 6 months
It did.
because
It did.
we kept going back and forth, and we would drop it and sit on it for a month
Yep.
and just
Reflect.
think about it and reflect. Absolutely.
Right.
And so when Kathy came into play, we completely transparent with her up front said, Kathy, we have a joint venture agreement between the two of us because business is business and friendship is totally
sure.
separate.
For sure.
We're going to give you what we have, and then we want you to slice and
Slice and dice.
Play
Yeah.
devil's advocate, so to speak,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. So
And
she
I-
had some stuff to add to
Yeah.
it, and we added it.
Yeah.
In the end, we actually got a lawyer to review it and
That's
vent
it,
it for
exactly.
us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and he
And he was
or
like-
she did okay.
He
yeah.
was like, "There's not much I can add to this,
That's
guys,
awesome.
because
As a matter of fact, he cut his price on it.
How
To do anything, we basically did it. It was
was,
just
yeah.
reviewing it,
Yeah.
making sure that it was all put
we
together.
had to-
That's so easy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, it's great.
It blew us away, actually, is what it did.
So every once in a while, we review it and we go, okay, so we might have some cash flow here. Okay, let's go to the JV agreement.
Let's
What
see
can we
what we-
pull out and what do we have to stay there? And we don't ask each other, it's what does the joint venture agreement tell us?
Oh, I love that.
We
You just-
agreed on that we can do.
Yeah.
Kind of the Bible, right? You use
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
And that's exactly what it
JV
is. It's
agreement.
impartial. It was agreed to by all of us.
Yeah.
It was, objective. Yeah.
And out of the three, I generally speak to Grace most of the time because she's the one who will call me at
That's 'cause
midnight.
I'm
Sometimes
the
no,
one
I'm
not
kidding.
working. I'm the one not
No,
working.
no,
I
she's-
love
yeah.
Grace
Yeah.
for this
Yeah.
because she just asks whatever's on her mind.
Absolutely,
And
yes.
I guess her being the point person.
Yeah.
Was that
Yeah.
talked about and was that spoken about? I don't know if that was within the joint
we did.
venture agreement or
We
just
did.
verbally.
We
Because you
do.
need one person to essentially be kind of the project manager, so to speak.
Yeah, we did.
Actually, it is in writing.
It is in writing.
it is?
And,
Oh,
and,
even better.
and we rotate.
Yeah.
We've agreed to rotate it on an
Even
annual
doing the
basis.
books and
all that, yeah.
all the accounting
Yeah.
and that sort of
All
thing
of that.
is all, yep.
It's all okay.
documented.
Okay. And I wanted to go back to that because I think that's where I see a lot of people not willing to take the next step because they're scared to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
You
know if
have
it's something
3
that they learned at
project
school.
managers. Are you just,
It's
Yeah.
yeah. Now I understand actually because I knew Lisa was the project. I knew that.
Yeah.
I forgot about Grace and I did not know that Kathy was a project manager. That's so cool that all
it
three of
is.
you are. Now, what is sitting now, 2018, going into 19? What's kind of your thoughts in terms of what options you're looking for from a real estate investment perspective? And I guess what I'm trying to ask is it buy and hold? What strategies are you considering?
Yeah.
So I'll start. One of the prime reasons, certainly Grace and I got into it, was to provide equity for our kids. I mean, we sort of, touched on this topic that it's really difficult for kids to get into a market right now. I mean, almost impossible, right? So how can mom and dad help to help them with this equity? So by buying real estate, you're actually building equity, right? But what I'm finding as almost a side benefit is that the cash flow is actually supplementing the income to the point where I'm actually considering to retire on an early basis.
Wow.
Right? So
Was that sooner than you thought, Lisa?
it's interesting because I've always in the back of my mind wanted to retire before the golden 65. This just makes it that much easier, to be perfectly honest, right? So so the strategy, and even within the joint venture agreement, we've decided, that we will hold for X number of years and reassess.
Got it.
And have, some triggers. But for me, the buy and hold is definitely the way to go from a capital appreciation, but
Yes.
the income is certainly something I didn't expect.
That's awesome.
Right? So, yeah. So,
Can I
yeah,
ask,
yeah.
and you don't have to give me the exact years, but kind of a rule of thumb,
Yeah.
because I know a lot of people who are listening right now are thinking, what is the amount of years that you guys reassess within your joint venture agreement? I don't need to know specifics, but how did you guys come to that number? Because I get that call a lot when people are thinking about doing joint ventures.
Do you wanna-
Is there is it every year? Is it that soon that you guys
No.
will reassess? Okay.
well,
No. I believe, I have to look back, I don't remember, but I think we said 5 years.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, it gives it enough time to do
Yes.
the buy and hold, and hopefully the appreciation will be there. I mean, could turn around, who knows, but I've always done buy and hold myself. And other than a couple, well, the one flip, that was the only flip
Did
I
you
ever
learn that
did
from
was-
Dad? Where did that come from?
No,
Okay.
well, just the income.
She's
the
just
extra,
a smart cookie.
Yes,
No,
exactly.
it was just the extra income. So, I mean, when I first bought that piece of property, interest rates back then were 17%.
Yeah.
Not like today.
Do you remember what you purchased it for? Approximately?
It was like something like 75,000. It was a
Makes sense?
condo.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. But at the time, I mean, a single income, you know, and
17%
It's
on your
relative.
mortgage.
Yeah,
That's what a
right.
credit card interest rate, like if you keep a balance on it,
Right.
right? Yeah, it's crazy.
But then you saw the income coming in, and when it started cash flowing, it's like, oh, good, you know.
This
So
is
I've got my own
making it-
income now. I've got
Yes.
some extra income,
absolutely.
which certainly helped.
Awesome.
And you know, you save up for that, and you buy your next one, and so on and so forth. But I mean, our strategy has been for the property that we purchased jointly has been the buy and hold for sure.
Yeah.
Do you think that's probably one of the most important points when it comes to a joint venture, that everyone's goals have to be aligned? Like, I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, like for example,
I think so, because if you're too disconnected, it's harder to make things work. If you're more in alignment, then things just flow. That's much more smoother, right?
The majority, yeah. And I mean, we also did say, you know, we could agree to disagree.
Yes.
Now, it is easier when you have an odd number, like 3 people,
Yeah.
because
Right.
you could go majority. But for the most part, we have similar personalities, so it's easier that way.
I have a joint venture with my two older brothers. And what we always say is that if we don't come to a decision, if the
Yes.
two don't sell the third, then that means you do nothing. And so you need to, the two
There
need
you
to
go.
sell the third
third
person,
one,
because
yeah.
there's usually two people that are feeling
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah.
And if you can't come to an agreement, that means you can't
You
do
walk
anything.
away.
So it's,
Yeah.
it's one of those, and you
Yeah.
just got to
Yeah.
come back to the drawing board.
Yep.
We use 5 years as well.
Yeah.
Because of the passive appreciation, but also you get that mortgage pay down, and
It is.
Yes.
more of your monthly payment
That
goes
equity.
towards principal,
That's
and
what
you
we're-
build more equity.
When we're here in 5 years from now, you can ask us that question
I
again.
love it. I love it. And then 5 years later, and it just goes on and on.
So,
I wanted to again go back to my question. What's some opportunities that make you kind of get excited now?
So for me,
Yes.
you know, moving forward, my children are 26 and 24. I'm actually taking this as an opportunity to teach them
them.
now while they're young.
Yes.
So, you know, guys, go out there. You know, you're starting to make some money. Buy yourself, you know, a condo that you can, you know, take possession 2 or 3 years from now, with the caveat that it's not really for you, but you're going to invest it. And mom's going to teach you along the way.
Are
as
they
we-
receptive to that? I know your two boys. I mean, I've spoken to them. Are they receptive to it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. So, you know, one of them say, so when do you think I could sell? Or when do you think is a good time to sell? I'm like, no, remember, when we talked about this, it's really buy and hold. So this will become an income, like
Rather than
Kathy
a
is
flip.
saying,
Yes.
than a flip, right? And what you're going to do in the meantime, because you're 24 years old,
Yes.
for goodness sakes.
Yes.
You have your whole life ahead of you, you know? You're just starting to work now. Now you start saving to buy something for yourself.
yeah.
And see, I also think they have a hard time understanding, especially at that age, is that, so if you bought a condo for $400,000, that in 20 years from now, I like to think that every 10 years it's going to double.
Double. Yeah.
So it's going to be worth $1.2 million, if not a little bit higher than that. Now, bread is not going to be the same price that it is today.
Agreed.
However,
It's all relative.
It's all relative.
Yeah.
However,
But the
fact,
appreciation.
the appreciation and the fact that the mortgage has been paid down.
Yeah, exactly.
And every 5 years, when you're reassessing, like we were talking about it from a joint venture perspective, most importantly, you can refinance.
That's it.
Now you can pull out some money, you can go to Vegas.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, and I would think that you should buy a little bit more real estate, at least one property. But I think the kids forget that. That age group just forgets that there is so much life to live. Like 24 is so young,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But go on,
I know, and when I explained to the kids, you're going to make this, cash coming in, I said, and they're actually going to pay for your mortgage, so you're not going to be paying for the mortgage down. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, really? How does that work? So you walk them
And you
through
walk them
it.
through it, absolutely.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
And then,
Yeah.
they're starting to work and they start asking you other questions. So, company has stock options or RSPs, right, Lisa?
Yes.
How do
for
we
sure.
What do I
What
do
about
with this
that?
now,
Yeah.
Mom?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let's
Yeah.
sit down and
Yeah.
discuss
Yeah.
this,
It is.
right?
Very much so.
You guys have a little bit more experience because your kids are older than mine, but would you not agree that they're just did not or they will not learn these things in school? In terms of the best and they just don't really learn a lot of it.
Unless you're into like an economics or
Right.
something along that line.
Right.
But even some of the tactics and the strategies that we're aware of, they don't learn that.
Yes.
They don't. So
It's not readily available.
It's not. No. So what we've been able to teach them has been amazing.